sunny island paradise with a terrible secret
It becomes an adult-only situation.
that lurks on its darkened streets.
You can find that kind of pedophile tourism.
Avery Haynes investigates an illicit sex trade.
What ages are we talking about?
All ages.
Children selling themselves to survive.
It's all about the money.
Sexual predators on the prowl.
It's definitely not right. It's sick.
Unchecked by the law.
Where there's poverty, prostitution, unfortunately, is tolerated.
And locals determined to protect their business.
I don't want to take my video, my face in your phone.
And he's touched generations with his ballads.
He sings totally from the heart.
A rare talent that has lasted for decades.
The quintessential Canadian songwriter.
Lloyd Robertson with an exclusive interview.
What is it that keeps you going?
I have that idea of moving forward.
Up close and personal with an iconic singer-songwriter.
Growing Lightfoot songs have come to reflect who we are.
Creating enduring classics.
To me, it's one of the great songs ever written.
Crafting ballads in bad times.
If I didn't stop drinking, I was going to do myself in.
And an inspiration for others.
I just love his music.
Here is Kevin Newman.
Hello and thanks for joining us. This week, W5 is taking you to one of Canada's biggest tourist destinations, an island of sun and fun for most visitors. But in some of the towns, something much more sinister than that. Places that have been called paradises for sex crimes. Avery Haynes and W5's investigation team went undercover to expose the nighttime neighborhoods where older tourists are preying on local children.
It's just a few minutes past midnight. The first thing you notice are the women. In fact, some of them are just girls. And the tourists, well, they're almost exclusively men, much older men. There are no families anywhere. This is the Dominican Republic's dirty little secret. Tourists come here to pay children for sex. The grit of the Strip is a sharp contrast to the beautiful beaches nearby that are a magnet for hundreds of thousands of Canadians each year. While most are lured here by the sun and the sand, others have a far darker desire.
It's a huge problem. We need to protect our kids.
José Martínez is a criminal lawyer and an outspoken TV and radio commentator.
It's hard to believe that on this beautiful beach, just a little bit down the way, pedophiles are paying for sex with children.
Yeah, that's a big problem in the Dominican Republic.
Jose says the Puerto Plata area in the northern part of the island is a hotspot for foreign pedophiles. A place where tourists openly troll the streets for underage girls and boys.
When you talk about children that are being used, sold to tourists, what ages are we talking about?
All ages. But the most popular, it's around 11 to 17.
11.
11 to 17. But I've heard cases of children less than 5 years old.
So you're telling me that a tourist could come here and find a 5-year-old child to have sex with?
It's a shame, but yes, there's tourism that comes to the Dominican Republic looking for sex tourism and also pedophile tourism.
After sundown, Jose and I walk the strip of Sosua for a first-hand look at what's going on in full view of everyone, including the police.
Where we are right now, there are people who come here specifically looking for young girls that they pay for.
Yeah, there's one of the places, here is one of the places where normally you can find that kind of tourism, the pedophile tourism.
I mean, I'm looking over to my right and I'm seeing a much older tourist.
Exactly.
And I'm seeing a relatively young-looking woman beside. And as we're going in this whole area, it seems to be mostly older men, tourists who are not
looking for girls, yeah, of course. Sometimes younger girls. That's exactly what's happening here.
It's a pedophile's playground, a situation so dire that it's been described as a crisis in a 2017 United Nations report. Susua is singled out as being a paradise for sexual crimes, where foreigners act with impunity. Susua is just 24 kilometers away from a Canadian favorite destination, Puerto Plata. The report says the men buying children are overwhelmingly from Canada, the US, and Europe. Prostitution is legal on the island nation. Child prostitution is not. A recent report by rights group International Justice Mission estimates 1 out of every 4 girls walking the street is under the age of 18. And while many foreigners get away with it, some don't, like Joseph Charles Philippe Cote from Quebec. In 2014, when he was in his 80s, the former military pilot was convicted in Canada for preying on young girls in Susua. Those girls were between 8 and 12 years old. In sentencing him to 7 years behind bars, the judge writes, the abuse was committed in the context of prostitution. He gave presents, a doll, a bathing suit. He invited them to the pool or lent them his scooter. The Dominican Republic's United Nations headquarters is in the capital of Santo Domingo. Eduardo Gallardado is with the UNICEF department that deals with child exploitation.
I've heard stories about young children being purchased for sex for the cost of a beer. Moms pimping out their 7-year-old daughters. Would this surprise you?
No.
We have seen situations where young adolescent girls are having sex with older men or adults for telephone minutes, for the recharge of minutes on their cellular phone.
Having sex with a child in exchange for phone card minutes. Alarmingly, Eduardo knows firsthand just how widespread the problem is.
The first day I arrived in Dominican Republic, I arrived looking like a tourist. A taxi stopped me. The driver said, "What do you need? I can bring it here." Girls? What age do you need the girls?
It happens in most areas of the Dominican Republic where tourists go, including Susua. Canadian Beth Belden Sosa runs this cigar shop right near the Strip.
It's not right. It's definitely not right. It's sick. In the daytime, it's very quiet. Once the sun goes down and it gets to be night, it becomes an adult-only situation. There should not be any child on the street.
And yet we know that there are children on the street and they're not playing.
Sometimes you see older men with younger girls, and I kind of think, how old is she? And what the hell is wrong with him? Dominican Republic is an hour and a half away from Miami. Quick trip. Better than going to the Philippines. Better than going to Thailand. I can come here for the weekend and then go back home.
We should go there and see what's happening, and we should go as soon as possible.
We wanted to find out just how long it would take to be approached by a young girl looking to sell sex.
We also can walk a little bit, maybe being taped from the van.
Along with Jose, our crew gathers at a nearby parking lot to sort out how to hide our camera.
But initially, we're going to be limited to where we can park.
We drive through the back streets. We've blacked out the windows so we can secretly shoot from the van. Eventually, we pull up right across from a popular bar. Jose and I pose as a couple looking to buy a girl for sex.
Here you have, hola.
It doesn't take long.
Do you want to talk to them for a minute and just find out how old they are?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
A girl with a Hello Kitty purse slung across her body comes up to us.
Yo no, haitiano.
Haitiano. ¿Tú hablas inglés?
No, francés.
Francés.
Oui.
Okay.
We try to find out her story. How old is she? Why is she on the street? Who are her customers?
Que tenía mucho que no venía por Sosúa.
Ah, no. Yo no.
¿Tú no? ¿Qué tiempo tú tienes en República Dominicana?
She clearly thinks we're asking too many questions.
Si tu veux m'aider, aide-moi. Parce que je suis vraiment nécessitée.
Je comprends ça.
She realizes we aren't serious buyers and leaves. A few minutes later, another girl comes over. She says she's 17, but she looks much younger. She tells us her name is Frime.
¿Eh? ¿Por qué los tienes? She says that she cannot say her real age because sometimes if you say it, people get scared of what she does.
When she speaks, you can see the braces on her teeth. She has a tattoo on her arm.
Eh? You can take a picture if you want to.
It's of a girl, her mouth taped shut, her body wrapped in chains. Frime tells us she's from the other side of the island, Haiti, and is just trying to make money to go to school.
So a police officer just walked by, and clearly she's not the right age, and he doesn't even do anything.
Ella no tiene por qué temer con eso. She says you should not be afraid about the police. I'm gonna tell her. She says if she's walking all by herself, maybe the police will approach to her and give any problem. But if she's with a tourist, she has no problems.
Wow.
If she's with a tourist, nobody's gonna ask her anything.
Right.
So those kids don't have anything secure, don't have the 3 meals. They don't have school, they don't have shoes, so they have to look for their way. If you see it that way, yeah, of course, it's the necessity. And if you come with $20, $60, $100, it's a lot for a person who doesn't have anything, who doesn't have anything to eat or to drink, water, clean water.
Back on the street, we decide to walk deeper into the strip to secretly video the action outside the bars and restaurants. But when we're caught, potentially putting a crimp on business, all hell breaks loose.
Excuse me, don't hit me.
I don't know what you're doing with the video.
I
I'm not
didn't
even
see
pulling
you.
internet for
Innocent youth working the sex trade.
These people here just want to survive.
And those who fight to protect them.
You cannot mess with our kids.
When W5 continues.
The Dominican Republic is one of Canada's top tourist destinations, with hundreds of thousands flocking to the sun-soaked beaches every year. But the DR has a dirty little secret that's not so little. Parts of the Caribbean island are havens for foreign pedophiles.
It's all about the money, and that's it, to survive.
Canadian Beth Belden-Sosa lives and works in Sosúa, one of the so-called sexual exploitation hot zones.
Do you target the people here who are just trying to survive, or do we target the educated first world country men and women who know better? These people here just want to survive.
A disturbing UN report exposing child sex tourism in the Dominican specifically mentions vulnerable girls who have come across the porous border with Haiti. Some of them live in villages like this one, right near the airport in Puerto Plata.
And this is all Haitian, this is entirely Haitian community?
Mostly, either Haitian or Haitian Dominican, like they would be mixed race.
Our guide is Crystal Earle, a Canadian who spends half her time in the DR working with local communities.
The people who end up here in this situation, some of the people were actually purchased, children being purchased in Haiti and brought here.
Their parents are promised that they're going to be able to go to school, and if you are uneducated and you hear that magical word school, then you're going to think, wow, this is what I want for my child. And so they surrender their child to whoever is coming along and asking them for that child.
People smugglers, essentially.
Basically, yeah.
And they're giving, how much are they giving for a child?
Oh, like nothing, well, maybe a few dollars.
Instead, some of those girls who were promised an education end up in the Dominican Republic and on the streets of places like Sosua. Criminal lawyer José Martínez and I are back on the Strip as I secretly record video with my phone. And then, out of nowhere,
I don't speak Spanish. Excuse me, don't hit me.
Ella es yo soy la que, mira, yo soy la que soy de aquí y ella viene.
No continues the record video.
But why does she just?
I know
why
when
does
you
she
take my
just?
video, my face in your phone.
Well, it's not. You keep filming. Openly, don't worry. It's not a problem. Sin ningún problema.
for a solid 10 minutes, the screaming continues and the crowd gets larger. Police get us to the safety of our van and out of the area.
It's 1:30 in the morning, and we just had a really intense situation. As we're walking into sort of a darkened area, two people approach us. The woman comes up and whacks me across my hand, so the phone goes flying, punches me in the stomach. Before we knew it, there were sort of 10 police officers around us, a crowd getting bigger and bigger, and it felt scary.
It should.
Later, police tell us we are no longer safe anywhere near here. There has been a credible threat against us. They've been tipped off about a plot to throw acid in our faces. We decide to leave.
It's not safe for us to go back.
The Dominican Republic relies on its reputation as a vacation paradise, and the last thing officials want to do is scare off tourists. So we wanted to find out just how the Ministry of Tourism is dealing with the fact that this area has become overrun by sex tourism. Lorenzo Sancasani is the Director of Tourism for the northern region of the Dominican Republic.
If this country and this area specifically relies so heavily on tourism, some are arguing that the government isn't committed to cracking down on the sex tourism because a dollar is a dollar, and it doesn't matter if it's also violating a child in the process.
No, we are really clear it's a problem. We have to do something. We are doing something. That's absolutely come from the government, and we are working all together.
Since a damning UN report in 2017, which described as a crisis child sex tourism in the DR, the local government has been working on a cleanup plan, trying to find other jobs for the girls on the streets and revamping the Sosua Strip to lure back family vacationers.
We give them 1 year to change, to take out all the discotheque, all the open bars.
Rebuilding this strip for families will be a challenge. Sosua is so entwined with the sex industry, they don't even sell souvenirs advertising the name of the town.
In Sosua, they don't sell anything about, you can see the name of Sosua. Because these guys, they don't want to come back in their country and let the people know they went in Sosua.
This is an extraordinary thing to hear a tourism official say, that they don't sell souvenirs with the name Sosua on it because Sosua is known as the place for pedophiles.
That's a part of the problem also. This is the consequence of this problem. That sounds crazy, but we understand. Like I tell you, no one tourist destination is surviving with sex tourists.
As the Dominican Republic looks to stop the selling, what is Canada doing to put an end to the buying? We went to the RCMP headquarters in Ottawa to find out.
It really surprised us when we went to the Dominican Republic, a place we had never thought of in the same ways that we may have Vietnam and Thailand when it comes to child sex tourism.
Where there's poverty. Prostitution, unfortunately, is usually tolerated.
RCMP Inspector Robert Lajoie is head of the National Child Exploitation Coordination Center.
Dominican Republic, just to focus on Dominican Republic, it is definitely a tourist attraction for Canadian. It's close by, it's fairly cheap.
Canada's child sex tourism law has been on the books for more than 2 decades. It gives police the power to charge people who commit crimes in other countries. But the arrest and conviction rate is shockingly low.
How many Canadians have been convicted since the child sex tourism law was first brought into effect?
There hasn't been many. I think we have about a dozen cases convicted under or charged under the Section 7.4.1, which is the extraterritorial offense.
I mean, that just seems like a drop in the bucket.
It is. It is, but those 12 are behind bars.
In 2016, the law was amended so police can now share information with Canada Border Services Agency to monitor the travel of high-risk offenders. But the RCMP has to gauge just who is high risk. And there is a huge backlog of 23,000 pedophiles who still haven't been assessed for their likeliness to reoffend. So far, only 196 Canadians have been deemed high risk, which means potentially hundreds of pedophiles still have not been flagged as future threats.
It seems very simple to me. If you know that there's a convicted pedophile in this country and they're traveling, you call the country that they're going to, particularly if it's a place like the Dominican Republic, and you say, hey, a pedophile is coming your way, or you don't let them go.
There are means, there are ways to do this, to advise the country, although we have to have proper reason to believe that they will offend.
But how often is that happening?
I would say it happened several times a month. The problem is the known sex offender is only a certain small percentage of the people that we don't know about. We have people that travel abroad that never been arrested or convicted yet. So that's another part of the equation.
Back in the Dominican Republic, criminal lawyer José Martínez is more blunt when talking about foreigners who go to his country to abuse children.
What's your message to Canadian pedophiles who come here looking to have sex with children?
If you come to Dominican Republic to do that, to commit that kind of crimes, you are in danger. We're looking for them. We're looking for them. Dominican Republic, it's a very well-known place to take justice in our hands. You cannot mess with our kids.
Well, there's been a hopeful development to add to Avery's reporting. That RCMP unit has just been given a $19 million cash infusion to fund many more investigations and hopefully stop more pedophiles before they leave Canada. Here's what's straight ahead.
Sharing his passion.
Allowing us to share his stage for so many shows is generosity beyond belief.
When W5 continues.